Josh.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone tuning in live from different parts of the world. Today, as we convene virtually to mark the historic passage of the Tibetan Policy and Support Act, a landmark legislation sealing the bipartisan, bicameral support of the US government for His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the Tibetan people, we're also marking a fresh chapter in the US Tibet history, a chapter of hope, courage, strength, and positivity. The Tibetan Policy and Support Act that was signed into a law last December is another breakthrough in the US-Tibet relations and stands as a testament to the fact that the United States has been an anchor steering the Tibetan people through the rough waters as Tibet continued to remain under the illegal Chinese occupation and rights violations of Tibetan people continue to persist to this day, and Tibetans have been forced to observe 62 national uprisings in exile. Today, the Regional Tibetan Association of Massachusetts has organized this special convening to celebrate the signing of the Tibetan Policy and Support Act and to thank the two key architects of this bill, Congressman Jim Mcgovern and Senator Marco Rubio, in the presence of an esteemed panel of guests, Kongosigyong Dr. Losa Sangye, the President of the Central Tibetan Administration, Bethany Lewis, the Foreign Affairs Advisor to Senator Marco Rubio, Toy Reed, State Director at the Office of Senator Marco Rubio, John Stivers, Kobe Levin, Max Shannon, John Nedelsky, Asmi Ekhaiji, all staffers from the Office of Congressman Jim Mcgovern, Representative Kongo Udup Seringla, Pujan Seringla from the International Campaign for Tibet, Dojit Sedinla, the Executive Director of Students for Free Tibet, and presidents of the North America Tibetan Associations, and everyone tuning in live into Tibet TV. I welcome all of you. My name is Darin Shaling, and I'm incredibly honored and delighted to be hosting today's event. Before I begin with, as per the Tibetan traditional Buddhist tradition, I'd like to invite Geshe Ngawang Singila, a resident of Western Massachusetts, to initiate an invocation prayer. Geshe-la.
Zononde, Donje, Zibaye, Compo, Dane, Jiji, Adon, Adon, Jebe, Ladu, Zabe, Zolendo, Rower, Joy, Pedin, Junet, Mortashi, Denzi, Shebo, Tamje, Kuban, Dije, Gala, Diji, Jurin, Sanje, Demba, Datu, Jeju, Plaza Dabi, Daji, Letrobi, Jaji, Melon, Dabandi, Melon, Paro, Shimba, Yutun, Dije, Gujin, Rewa, Gumara, Labar, Zundi, Mizamba, Debe, Zojin, Nanda, Yung, Dado, Shedro, Jabi, Zundi, Today, Shunji, Jebe, Jashi, Tony, Niji, Zundan, Jubilam, Cheche, Sanse, Gojin, Dendring, Shana, Bemo, Denzi, Janson. So one day, so she did Londro, Jonjo, Senjo, Rimboche, Baje, Banam, Jeju, Dewar, Nyamba, Mewa, One, Gondor, Bewar,
Geshe-la. Thank you very much, Geshe-la. We will now begin with the formal program. I've had the honor of introducing Sikyong Dr. Lhasa Sangye on numerous occasions, and I'm again honored to be bestowed with the same. Needless to say, Dr. Lhasa Sangye is widely recognized as the democratically elected representative or president of the Tibetan people, and is known as the political successor of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And so this makes him a beacon of hope for Tibetans inside and outside of Tibet. Dr. Sangye enjoys a rare feat because his academic training at Harvard University makes him a scholar statesman, indeed a rare feat for any individual. Likewise, his work has gained widespread global recognition, including the gold medal from the Trinity College for his outstanding contribution to public service, to public discourse. That was in 2012, early in his political career, because he assumed the political leadership in 2011. And in 2015, Dr. Sangye was conferred the Presidential Medal Award from Salisbury University in Maryland. And in 2016, the National Endowment for Democracy, a congressionally funded organization based in Washington, D.C., gave him a citation which recognized the democratic institution of the Central Tibetan Administration as envisioned by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And in 2017, Dr. Lhasa Sangye was bestowed with a Takasu Award from a Japan-based Takasu Foundation for his notable contribution to the welfare, education, and resilience of the Tibetan people. I must say that ever since he assumed political leadership in 2011, exactly 10 years ago, his advocacy for Tibetan people and for His Holiness the Dalai Lama has put advocacy at the highest echelons of Tibetan political history. And likewise, this goes on to strengthen the significance and the strategic relevance of Tibet, of His Holiness, and the Tibetan people. And the Tibetan Policy and Support Act attests to this fact. I've had the honor and the privilege of working directly under his leadership, and I've seen him to be a tireless champion of the cause of Tibet. And I've known him as an individual who always pushes the envelope. I'm again honored today to invite him to deliver the opening address.
Oh, thank you, Dadullah, for the kind introduction, and good to see you in action, although in different country and different continents. And as a Tibetan, we all must, continue to do what we can for the cause of Tibet. So it's a great privilege and honor to be part of this, part recognition, part felicitation for passing the Tibetan Policy and Support Act. And, my job is to thank Honorable Congressman Jim Mcgovern. I wanted to do it in person, to come all the way to Amherst, but I will be doing it virtually, because I vividly remember meeting Jim Mcgovern. Over the years we have become friends, and whenever I used to go meet with him, at one time we talked about 550, and he asked, what is this 550 thing? It's 5 years and 50 years strategy. He said, I don't have 50 years. I also don't have 5 years. I have only 2 years. So tell me something to do in 2 years. He was very impatient, rather passionate to do something about Tibet in few months' time, a year or two time. So he was, enthusiastic supporter of Tibet. So, of course, we went through the list of 7 or 8 things when we met at, Honorable Speaker Pelosi's office that we planned to do. And, Tibetan Policy and Support Act was one of them. So I think Congressman Jim Mcgovern, played instrumental role in, passing this bill. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I've told you in person, but all the way from Dharamsala, on behalf of Central Tibet Administration and the Tibetan people inside Tibet, thank you very much. So it's, we are, doing this, Tibetan Losar. So it's a new year, and also a new chapter in the history of Tibet. I think this bill is a landmark bill. I think when I came to exile, actually, there was a voluntary reception at the airport, given the magnitude and the significance of the bill, but then my flight got canceled, so I never got the public welcome. But the Indian group, Indo-Tibetan Friendship Association, they talked among themselves and wanted to facilitate US government and US Congress for passing this bill. So it generated that kind of enthusiasm and that kind of appreciation from both Tibetans in exile and Indian population as well. So when I went to Delhi, also many people in Delhi were very, very appreciative. And also I had the privilege of having an audience and informing His Holiness Dalai Lama, and he said, "Yakpo shida chungsha." That means not only it's good, it's very good. So he was very, very appreciative. So on behalf of His Holiness, also I want to send sincere appreciation, profound gratitude to Congressman Jim Mcgovern. And I can see Bethany here, who visited Dharamsala, and I have had the privilege of meeting Honorable Senator Rubio on November 3rd, 2011, 3 months after I took over my first trip to Washington, D.C. And Senator Rubio was also the freshman senator at that time. So, he was very, given his Cuban background, given his, commitment for human rights and democracy. I think even then he showed, full passion, full commitment to democracy at large and human rights issues. And he told me at that time I was the first Tibetan that he met, and since then he has been very supportive, and he has also spoken about Tibet in the floor of the Senate several times, and which has gone viral. So on our behalf, please do thank Senator Rubio. So Bethany, good to see you virtually, and we will continue this journey together. And again, thanks to Senator Rubio and Jim Mcgovern, I can see Jonathan Stiver, who played, very important role in drafting the first bill. We've been talking about when he was with the Speaker Pelosi, then at USAID, and when he joined, your commission, China Commission, and also he visited Europe as part of the Tibetan Parliamentary Support Group meeting. And he always wanted to do this. And he was at the right place at the right time with two right bosses, Congressman Jim Mcgovern and Senator Rubio. So thank you, Jonathan Stiver, and all other staff members who are here today. I think what you have done, it means so much to Tibetans. You created history after almost 2 decades. You put Tibet back, in the agenda of the international forum. So inside Tibet, they were celebrating it. In monasteries, they were praying and they were burning incense to appreciate the US government for what you have done. And obviously, you can see by Chinese government's reaction, they brought helicopters over Potala Palace. They brought military, in the streets of Lhasa and various other places. They had a war drill or anti-riot drill, for days, and some say for weeks, to intimidate Tibetans, to create fear that there might be another uprising in Tibet in appreciation of the support of the bill. So that means you have sent the right message to Beijing that US government and the people are with Tibet and Tibetan people for a long time to come. So you have sent a powerful message, the right message for justice. And Tibetans inside Tibet, yes, there's a clampdown, there's repression, and obviously they cannot say much, but deep down, I know in the dark cells of prisons also, they're very, very appreciative for passing this bill. And I think, from the reports I've read, that the Chinese government are recalling former scholars to come back to write against this bill. They're gathering monks and reincarnated lamas to criticize the provision on religious freedom and reincarnation. And they are giving so much workshops, anti-bill workshops to the Chinese government officials in Tibet. So all these are happening because of the significance of the bill, because of the magnitude, because of the solid, strong, clear support extended by America and its great people. So we are, forever grateful. It happened during my term, at the end of my term, so thank you for pulling this off also, So I came there and spent almost 7 weeks, bit tense. I've never been tense in the last 10 years. And it was a bit tense moment for the last 7 weeks when the bill was passed at the House, then the Senate, and it took a few days to sign by the president, then president. It was gripping in the Tibetan community. What would happen, And we had sent a message to all the monasteries in Dharamsala, all over India, Nepal, and Bhutan to pray for the success of the bill. So thanks to all the prayers also and the hard work of all the associations that I see here today, and thanks to all of you and Prujungla from ICT for your participation, for your support to make this possible. So my job is to thank all of you, and I hope I did it. And once again, I want to thank Honorable Speaker, and in the House and the Senate for making this possible. So this bill, obviously, it's a historic bill. It will go down in the history of Tibet as the turning point for the Tibetan freedom movement. And when we write our history, Congressman Jim Mcgovern, your name will be noted in the history, along with Speaker Pelosi and Rubio and all the senators and congressmen, who voted for the bill. So with that, I want to thank, even though it's evening, from India, from Dharamsala, we call it Sugar Dharamsala. It has an element of respect and mystery to it. All the way from Sugar Dharamsala. Thank you to all of you. Tujiche.
Thank you very much, Kong Si-kyung. One of the things I forgot to mention in his introduction is Si-kyung Dorlosa Sangye is now recognized as one of the best orators in modern history. And I think his speech, I do know it's extempore speech, I think kind of really attests to that fact again. And it's said that all is well that ends well, and the Tibetan Policy and Support Act will be a parting gift by the first democratically elected political leader of the Tibetan people. And this couldn't have been a greater news for His Holiness, for people inside Tibet, and for everyone who believes in freedom, justice, democracy, and human rights. Thank you, Kungo. We will now transition to a little bit of an entertainment. We have a special performance of one of the most popular Tibetan songs, Sungda Lemo So, by the young students of the Tibetan Weekend School here at Western Massachusetts. So let's all watch this 3-minute presentation.
I believe the sound was clear on live.
All right, so I did see some of us panicking, but please don't worry. The head of Tibettv informed us that the live streaming had the audio on, because of which they had to turn it off for us, so as to avoid the sound bleeding. So next, I would like to invite I'd like to invite Thuntup Tsiringla, who served as the former 3-time president of the Regional Tibetan Association of Massachusetts, and who's also on board as one of the organizing members of today's event. I'd like to invite Thuntula to introduce Congressman Jim Mcgovern. Thuntula, you have to unmute. Tundula, we're not able to hear you. You need to unmute your computer.
Sorry about that. Okay. Good morning, and Tashi Delek. For those of you who follow Tibet or human rights, there's really no need for introduction of Congressman Jim Mcgovern. Even before he was elected as a representative in 1989, Congressman Jim Mcgovern investigated the murder of 6 Jesuit priests by the US-backed Salvadoran military. Congressman Mcgovern back then he is, and continues to be a champion for human rights, a voice for the voiceless, and an active activist for the good fight. First elected in Congress in 1996, Congressman Mcgovern has tirelessly worked for the people of Massachusetts and has earned the national reputation of being a vigorous advocate for his district and a champion for food security, human rights, campaign finance reforms, social justice, and peace. For the last 7 years, Congressman Mcgovern has participated in the Montes March, walking 43 miles from Springfield to Greenfield in the cold New England weather to raise awareness about hunger in the community and money to feed those in need. This past fall, despite the coronavirus pandemic restrictions, Congressman Mcgovern and his team succeeded in raising a record $614,577 for the Food Bank of Western Massachusetts. Congressman Mcgovern is the chairman of the powerful House Rules Committee. He also is the chairman of the Congressional Executive Commission on China and co-chairs the bipartisan Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission, both of which monitor and investigate international human rights abuses and recommend how the US should foster respect for democratic values abroad. In November 2015, Congressman Mcgovern visited Tibet along with Speaker Nancy Pelosi as part of a congressional delegation to visit firsthand the situation inside occupied Tibet. A few years later, in 2017, Congressman Mcgovern also visited Dharamsala and met with His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the top leadership of the Central Tibetan Administration. On December 19, 2018, the historic Reciprocal Access to Tibet bill, which Congressman Mcgovern authored and introduced, was signed into law. This was the first ever standalone bill on Tibet and denies Chinese government officials access to the United States if they are responsible for creating or implementing restrictions on American government officials and citizens' access to Tibet. While applauding this successful passage of this historic bill, Congressman Mcgovern said, and I quote, "With this bill, we are taking an important step forward on behalf of the human rights of Tibetans. We are reaffirming our support for the leadership of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and we are sending a message to the government of China that human rights are not negotiable. Supporting human rights is the moral thing to do, it is the right thing to do, and it is the American thing to do for Tibetans in China and everywhere else in the world," unquote. Likewise, 2 years, another historic bill on Tibet, the Tibetan Policy and Support Act, once again authored and introduced by Congressman Mcgovern, was also signed into law on December 27, 2020. This bill, which further updates and strengthens the Tibetan policy of 2002, among other significant provisions, makes it official US policy that the Dalai Lama's succession is strictly a religious matter that only His Holiness the Dalai Lama and his followers can decide without the interference from the Chinese government. At this point, I would like to invite everyone to watch a brief video presentation of Congressman Mcgovern speaking in support of the Tibet Policy and Support Act in the House on January 28, 2020.
Madam Speaker, I yield 5 minutes to the author of this important bill, the chairman of the Rules Committee, the gentleman from Massachusetts, Mr. McGovern.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to thank the gentleman for yielding to me and for his advocacy on behalf of this issue. And the ranking member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, I'm delighted to be here with you, and I want to thank you for your work on this. Madam Speaker, I rise in strong support of H.R. 4331, the Tibetan Policy and Support Act. I'm proud to have introduced this legislation with Congressman Chris Smith of New Jersey and with Senators Rubio and Cardin in the Senate. I would like to especially thank Chairman Engel and Ranking Member McCall for their strong support of this bill, and more important, for their tireless leadership in support of the human rights of the Tibetan people. Madam Speaker, our bill updates and strengthens the Tibetan Policy Act of 2002 to address the challenges facing the Tibetan people. But perhaps as importantly, it reaffirms America's commitment to the idea that human rights matter, that we care about those who are oppressed and we stand with those who are struggling for freedom, that we have a moral obligation to do something when we see something that is not right. It should be clear that we support a positive and productive U.S.-China relationship, but it is essential that human rights of all the people of China are respected by their government. Unfortunately, the human rights situation in Tibet has gotten much worse. The Chinese government has refused to enter into genuine dialogue with Tibetan leaders. Restrictions on access to Tibet, both for Tibetans and foreigners, have been tightened. International journalists have stated that the isolation of Tibet is as bad as North Korea, allowing human rights abuses and environmental degradation to be concealed from the outside world. Last year, the Congress passed the Reciprocal Access to Tibet Act to demand that American journalists, diplomats, and tourists be given the same freedom to travel to Tibet that Chinese officials have to travel freely in America. I hope to see a report from the State Department that was due in December describing the steps that the administration has taken to implement this policy over the last year. In addition, the Chinese government has used advanced technology to intensify security and surveillance. It has ratcheted up its so-called anti-crime and vice campaign targeting Tibetans. Religious freedom continues to be severely curtailed, including through mandatory political education for religious leaders and arrests of Tibetans who display a photo of the Dalai Lama. The Panchen Lama turned 30 years old this year, but he and his family remain incommunicado since being kidnapped by Chinese authorities in 1995, making him the world's longest-serving prisoner of conscience. Finally, Chinese officials have intervened to select Tibetan Buddhist leaders and threatened to choose the successor to the 14th Dalai Lama. These actions are in clear violation of China's international obligations to protect religious freedom. It is essential that U.S. policy toward Tibet be updated and strengthened, and the bill we are considering today would establish as U.S. policy that the succession or reincarnation of Tibetan Buddhist leaders, including a future 15th Dalai Lama, is an exclusively religious matter that should be decided solely by the Tibetan Buddhist community. Send a clear message that Chinese officials who interfere in the succession or reincarnation process will be subject to targeted financial, economic, and visa-related sanctions, including those contained in the Global Magnitsky Act. Strengthen the role of the State Department Special Coordinator for Tibetan Issues by including a mandate to work multilaterally to promote a genuine dialogue. Mandate that no new Chinese consulate should be established in the United States until a U.S. consulate is established in Tibet's historical capital of Lhasa. Direct the State Department to begin collaborative, multinational efforts to protect the environment and water resources of the Tibetan Plateau and support democratic governance in the Tibetan exile community. The Dalai Lama should be commended for his decision to devolve political authority to elected leaders. The Tibetan exile community is also to be commended for adopting a system of self-governance with democratic institutions to choose their own leaders, including holding multiple free and fair elections to select its parliament and chief executive. The adoption of democracy within the Tibetan exile community ensures that the Central Tibetan Administration in Dharamsala, India, legitimately represents and reflects the aspirations of the Tibetan people around the world. And standing together, the American people will remain steadfast partners of the Tibetan people. You know, for 60 years, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and so many Tibetans have remained separated from their land and their home, while the people in Tibet endure some of the harshest human rights abuses in the world. I am proud that today the House of Representatives is taking this important step to strengthen U.S. policy in support of the Tibetan people. And I want to thank my colleagues for their support, and I urge all my colleagues to support this important legislation. I yield back my time.
And I reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Thank you very much for watching the video presentation. It is now my honor to invite Congressman Jim Mcgovern to give today's keynote address. Congressman Jim Mcgovern.
Well, thank you, my dear friend Thorndup. I appreciate that kind introduction, and I appreciate your friendship and all that you have taught me over the years. So thank you so much. I'm grateful for our partnership in supporting the Tibetan people in their struggle for freedom and human rights. Passage of the Tibetan Policy and Support Act was a tremendous accomplishment. It was a big deal. And I'm proud of this legislation designed to strengthen U.S. policy and address the emerging challenges faced by the Tibetan people. I want to be clear that from the beginning, this was a team effort. And while I appreciate all the nice things being said about me, there are a lot of people that deserve credit, including many of the people who I can see during this call as we speak. I want to especially thank the bipartisan members of Congress in both the House and the Senate that supported this legislation. I want to thank Speaker Pelosi for shepherding this legislation through the House. She was instrumental. I want to thank Senator Rubio for his leadership in the United States Senate. You know, at a time when Democrats and Republicans can't even seem to agree on what to have for lunch, we came to agreement on this important issue. And I think that that too is a very powerful signal to the Chinese government that there is strong bipartisan support for this measure. And there are very few things nowadays, unfortunately, that have this kind of bipartisan support. I want to thank Dr. Sangay for his leadership and his constantly coming to Washington and reaching out to House members and members of the Senate, talking about how important this is. I want to thank my friends at ICT who are on the call. I see many faces here on this call for their unbelievable leadership on this and so many other issues related to Tibet. I want to thank our staffs, especially John Stivers, who works with me in the China Commission, and of course the outside mobilization of many supporters and advocates all across the country from various organizations, some directly related to Tibet, some just human rights advocates who came to lobby on behalf of this bill. I'm grateful to all of them. And again, thank you to everyone at this event for the pivotal role you played to ensure that this legislation was signed into law. You know, I especially want to thank the Regional Tibetan Association of Massachusetts, Amherst, in my home state, for your commitment and support to human rights and the cause of Tibet. You know, I thanked Thorndup at the beginning for teaching me so much about Tibet and the Tibetan culture and the struggles of the Tibetan people. I would say that for all those in Massachusetts who have invited me to events and who have talked to me about some of the challenges that the people of Tibet face. So while we take a moment today to celebrate, and this is a moment to celebrate, we must redouble our efforts because there is much more that we need to do. Tibetans in China are still struggling to exercise their basic human rights, to speak and teach their language, protect their culture, control their land and water, travel within and outside their country, and practice their religion as they choose. The Chinese government maintains its absurd claim that it has the sole authority to control the next reincarnation of the Dalai Lama, in clear violation of the religious freedom of the Tibetan Buddhist community. Access to Tibet remains tightly controlled. As a result, human rights abuses and environmental degradation are concealed from the world. And it has now been 25 years since the 11th Panchen Lama was abducted and forcibly disappeared, making him one of the world's longest detained prisoners of conscience. Make no mistake, the Chinese government is engaged in a systematic effort to eliminate the distinct religious, linguistic, and cultural identity of the Tibetan people. Now that Congress has passed both the Tibetan Policy and Support Act and the Reciprocal Access to Tibet Act, it is our responsibility to ensure that the Biden administration effectively implements these bills. We expect that a high-level State Department Special Coordinator for Tibetan issues will soon be named, and that's a welcome development. The Tibetan Policy and Support Act strengthens that position in many ways, including a mandate to work multilaterally and on protection of the environment and water resources of the Tibetan Plateau. I look forward to a stronger partnership between the administration and Congress on these issues in the coming years. The administration must make it clear that Chinese officials who interfere in the succession or reincarnation process will be subject to targeted sanctions, including those contained in the Global Magnitsky Act. No new Chinese consulates should be established in the United States until a U.S. consulate is established in Tibet. There should be stronger U.S. support for democratic governance in the Tibetan exile community. And last, it is my hope that when it is safe to do so, that His Holiness will have the opportunity to return to the U.S. and meet with President Biden and Vice President Harris. We have much work to do in the coming months and years. Let's take stock of our successes and continue the march forward in support of the human rights of the Tibetan people. And let me just finally say, on a very personal note, my working relationship with so many of you, my ability to have spent time with His Holiness the Dalai Lama has been an incredible experience for me. His Holiness is a man of love, peace, justice. He is an inspiration to so many of us in the United States Congress. He's an inspiration to so many around the world. Why he is so feared by a gigantic country like China will always remain a mystery to me, because the message that he preaches is a universal message, one that brings us together, one that lifts up all people. And so I continue to treasure my moments with him. I continue to follow what he says and on his Twitter account. And I also, Dr. Sangay, thank you for, again, your unbelievable leadership, and to everybody here. This is a team effort. And I'll just say one thing, and I want to say that this is a salute to Senator Rubio as well. In the last couple of years, we have passed more legislation on human rights in China and on issues related to Tibet than at any other time in Congress. And that is, again, because of the advocacy. Don't ever think that your voices don't matter. That is what made the difference here. To the people in the Tibetan community throughout the world, but in the United States, raised their voices, advocated, and made a difference. And so we honor them as well. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Congressman Jim Mcgovern. As Dr. Lawson Sange said, I'd like to reiterate the fact that your name will go down in the history of Tibet and beyond, because you are an important torchbearer of justice, freedom, human rights, which are not only the core tenets of a democracy, but are the basic fundamental rights of people around the world. And we remain indebted to you for your endeavor. And we know that as long as there are tall personalities like you, the issue of Tibet will never go away. So thank you again, Congressman Jim. Next, I'd like to present an interesting music video performed by one of the rising stars in the Tibetan music world, is also a trained Danye player. Danye is the Tibetan guitar. She's 13-year-old and her name is Tenzin Namjal Dorje, and she made a music video dedicated to the US government, in particular to Congressman Jim and to Senator Marco Rubio. And the song that she's performing to is a popular melodious song sung by leading artists in Tibet. It's called Tomo Rinche Kangla. Tomo is a region in Tibet which borders Tibet. There are a lot of Tibetans from Tomo in Sikkim in the northeastern region of India. So yes, we will have the scintillating visual representation of Tomo Rinche Kangla. I think what we see is hope when we see young Tibetan Americans like her and the other children who sang Sumda Lemuso. Both the videos were shot last weekend in a biting cold. I was there. And what I felt was, how these young children who are the future seeds of Tibet, how they come together to celebrate the culture, and in doing so are thanking their country, the United States, but remaining Tibetan deep within. And I think this is what is hope that we see in today's world. So I would now like to take the honor of inviting Representative Ngudup Tseringla. Before I do that, I'd like to do a brief introduction of Kongo. Ngudup Tseringla is the representative of His Holiness the Dalai Lama to North America. And he has served the exile Tibetan administration, which is also called the de facto Tibetan government in exile, for over 40 years in various leadership roles, be it member of the Tibetan Parliament in exile, secretary of the Department of Education, the director of the Tibetan Institute of Performing Arts, and then before becoming the representative, he was the minister of the Department of Education as well. And Office of Tibet DC under Kongo Ngudula's leadership has been at the forefront of this important work of advocating for the cause of Tibet in the United States. And the Office of Tibet DC has weighed in heavily on the successful passing of the Tibetan Policy and Support Act. I'd like to request Representative Ngudupla to introduce Senator Marco Rubio and to later invite Bethany Paulus to address the gathering. Over to you, Kongo.
Thank you, Danula, for the generous introduction. Friends, today is all about remembering and thanking the two great leaders who were instrumental in delivering the historic Tibet Support and Policy Act of 2020, Congressman Jim Mcgovern and Senator Marco Rubio. TPSA 2020 is the most comprehensive legislation on Tibet thus far, and entails a number of important provisions that are very, very dear to the Tibetan people. Without their initiative, TPSA would not have existed. Early on in 2018, when I first joined as the representative of His Holiness, Congressman Jim Mcgovern and Senator Rubio were incidentally the first two congressional leaders that I was fortunate to meet with. Thereafter, I was privileged to meet them on several occasions. Witnessing the unshakable support and commitment for freedom, human rights, and democracy in general, and for Tibet in particular, from these two great leaders, I was convinced that the age of heroes is not dead. Thank you to both of you from the bottom of our hearts. I would also like to take this opportunity to offer our profound gratitude to the Speaker Pelosi and entire members of the House of Congress, both houses of Congress, and their staffers for passing the TPSA and the then president for signing it into law. Thanks are also due to our president, Dr. Sangye, for traveling all the way to the United States to help push the bill to the shore. The Office of Tibet DC is honored to be a part of this historic legislation, and I personally believe this as my good karma to be of some service to our cause. Let me thank the president and the board of the Regional Tibetan Association of Massachusetts for putting this meaningful event together. 2 decades ago, Representative Tom Landers and Senator Dianne Feinstein each introduced the 2002 Tippett Policy Act in the House of Representatives and the Senate. The stated purpose of the TPA was to support the aspirations of the Tibetan people to safeguard their distinct identity and also to promote substantive dialogue between the governments of PRC and His Holiness Dalai Lama or his representative through the appointment of special coordinator. TPSA 2020 added a critical provision that it will be the US policy that the succession of Dalai Lama be left solely to the Tibetan Buddhists to decide without interference from the Chinese government. This is just one of many important provisions that were enacted into TPSA. The Chinese Communist Party would very much like to see the demise of His Holiness' legacy, but Congress sent a resounding message that they will not remain idle in the face of historic injustice. I look forward to seeing the effects of the TPSA in the near future, but I feel confident that Tibetans are much better off with this new historic legislation. Now, I wanted to say a few words on Senator Marco Rubio. Senator Marco Rubio is the senior US Senator from Florida. He is one of the most consistent and strongest supporters of Tibet in the US Senate. He is the Senate sponsor of the TPSA 2020 and co-chair of the Congressional Executive Commission on China. Senator is also the founding co-chair of Interparliamentary Alliances on China, IPAC, a newly established international cross-party alliance of parliamentarians from democratic countries focused on PRC and CCP. Other than TPSA, Senator Rubio also sponsored the reciprocal access to Tibet, along with Chairman Jim Mcgovern. Now today, the Senate is represented by his brilliant foreign policy advisor, and it is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Bethany Pelosi. Bethany serves as a foreign policy advisor to the Senator. In her role, she focuses on international human rights and democracy promotion, global women's issues, humanitarian assistance, and covers Indo-Pacific, Europe, and Middle East. Bethany traveled, as Sikyong mentioned, traveled to Dharamsala in October 2019 to meet with the Tibetan leader and the CTA leadership. She has worked on numerous pieces of Tibet-related legislation for Senator Rubio, including TPSA. Bethany is one of the most accessible, kind, and supportive congressional staffers I've ever met. We're glad that she's able to join us today and share her remarks on behalf of the Senator. But may I invite Bethany, the screen is yours. Thank you so much. Tujiche.
Thank you, Tashi Delek. Can you guys hear me okay? Because I'm on my AirPods. Everyone, great. It's so nice to be with you today. It's always a good morning when I get to spend it with so many of our Tibetan friends and advocates. As mentioned, I got the opportunity and the privilege to travel to Dharamsala in 2019 in October. And I was just blown away by meeting members of the Tibetan community there, Dr. Sangay, of course, and his leadership, meeting with His Holiness. And I was just inspired again and came back in really a renewed mission to find ways to support the Tibetan people. I was inspired by your persistence and preservation of hope and peace in the midst of all of the challenges posed to the Tibetan community inside and outside of Tibet by the Chinese Communist Party. So thank you guys for everything you do. It's really to reiterate some of Congressman McGovern's points. We can push legislation through, but there's no way we could actually get so many of the things done without the support of the community. And I'd also like to quickly thank Congressman and Chairman of the CECC, Chairman McGovern, and his staff, who are incredible partners on all of this. Speaker Pelosi, Senator Cardin, Senator Risch and Menendez, all who, as the Congressman said, there's no way we could get these things done if we didn't work in a bipartisan way. And on this issue, there really is no daylight between us. And part of it is just sometimes you have delays because there's so much else happening in Congress, but it's never anything about the substance of the issue. I think on that, we're entirely united. So I just want to say a couple brief words, and I'm sorry the senator couldn't be with you this morning. I know he wanted to, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you get me, but hopefully, hopefully that works for you all. I think the senator feels strongly that we cannot, the international community in the United States, we cannot turn a blind eye to the abuses happening at the hands of the CCP, the furthering that they are tightening their grip on the Tibetan people, aiming to wipe out Tibetan culture and religion. And the United States and freedom-loving nations everywhere have to not only condemn these blatant violations of human rights, but also find new tools to hold those responsible, to hold them accountable. And that includes sanctions, and that includes another a host of tools that we have to utilize, and make crystal clear that we are not going to tolerate the interference in the institution of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and his succession, and any interference has to be met with a very, very serious response. And it's in the US interest to support the preservation of Tibetan language and culture inside and outside of Tibet. It's a moral issue, but it's also an issue of US national security. It goes to the heart of who we are as a nation, right? I mean, who do we really believe in the founding principles of our country, the United States? And if so, then that means we have to advocate for religious freedom around the world, for human rights around the world. So it really goes to who we are as well as a people, how we choose to take a stand for the Tibetan people. And we're proud to do it. I'll say that, the bill that we recently passed, we're excited. We're looking forward to keeping the administration accountable for implementing it. But we're also, it doesn't end here. We're going to continue to look for new tools, new pieces of legislation we can work on, continue to get the support from you guys, which will be so important to get some of these things done. But this bill wasn't a one-off. We're going to continue to work on this issue. It's going to be a priority in Congress, and I'm excited to working with you all and seeing a better future for the Tibetan people. So if we can ever be of assistance, our office is always open. As was mentioned, I'm available 24/7. And I know this is an issue that is very personal to the senator, and he's instructed us to continue to make it a priority for our office, and you'll see that. So thank you for having me today.
Thank you very much, Bethany, for highlighting the important work that you do. And as the advisor for foreign affairs to Senator Rubio, we do know the instrumental role that you have and continue to play in highlighting the issue of Tibet. And thank you for expressing your continued commitment to the cause of Tibet and likewise to the cause of human rights and democracy across the world. We appreciate that very much, and thank you. I'm now pleased to introduce Pujung Tsaringla, the interim president of the International Campaign for Tibet. I've known Pujungla since I was a little girl in primary school, I think so. Pujungla was then the editor at Indian Express, one of the leading news magazines based in South India in Bangalore. Pujungla then joined the Central Tibetan Administration and sat as the editor for Tibetan Bulletin, the monthly magazine in English of the Central Tibetan Administration, and has also served as at the office of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And for the last 2 decades, he's been at the helm of leadership at the International Campaign for Tibet, and ICT has played an important, significant role in shaping the US policy on His Holiness, on Tibet and Tibetan people. And ICT has played, again, a very important role in seeing through the successful passage of the historic Tibetan Policy and Support Act. I take the honor of inviting Pujungla to address this event. Pujungla.
Thank you very much, Dr. On behalf of the International Campaign for Tibet, I thank the Regional Tibetan Association of Massachusetts for inviting us to join in this celebration of the passage of the Tibetan Policy and Support Act, and to add our gratitude to Congressman Jim Mcgovern and Senator Marco Rubio for spearheading this latest initiative. This legislation is continuing the historical tradition of bipartisan support for Congress, as you heard from the representatives today, for Tibet. Since 1979, after the historic visit of His Holiness the Dalai Lama to the United States, Congress has passed 4 major significant legislations on Tibet, supporting, or rather highlighting American support to Tibet and the Tibetan people. You've heard their names already. These are the Tibetan Policy and Support Act of 2002, the Congressional Gold Medal to His Holiness the Dalai Lama Act of 2007, the Reciprocal Access to Tibet Act of 2018, and the latest Tibetan Policy and Support Act of 2020. Now, Congressman McGovern was a co-sponsor of all these 4 major legislations and the lead in the last 2 legislations. Similarly, Senator Rubio had been the lead for the last 2 legislations, the RATA and TPSA. Had he been there in the Senate during the time of the first 2 legislations, I have no doubt that Senator Rubio would also have played a major role then. When we talk of congressional initiatives on Tibet, I want to recall with gratitude the role of Khosrow Lodi Gyari, the special envoy of His Holiness the Dalai Lama and chair of the ICT board. He was the architect for the current advocacy on Tibet in Washington, D.C. Coming back to TPSA, we see it has 2 main messages. First, it strengthens the institutionalization of US support to Tibet, including to the democratic governance of the Central Tibetan administration. And secondly, it sends a strong message to China that the Tibetan issue is a domestic issue of the United States. In this, the broader Tibetan American community has played a pivotal role, as Congressman Jim Mcgovern mentioned earlier, by utilizing their rights provided by our adopted country and calling for action by our members of Congress. Now, Congress has done its part in passing this legislation, and the more important task of implementing the legislation lies ahead. In this, we look forward to working with Congressman McGovern, Senator Rubio, and their colleagues in the Congress to see that the Biden administration fully implements the TPSA and Reciprocal Access to Tibet Act. In conclusion, I want to thank Congress, particularly Representative McGovern and Senator Rubio, for giving hope to the Tibetan people. Thank you for supporting the vision of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and thank you for heeding the call of the Tibetan American community. Thank you very much. Tashi Dele.
Thank you very much, Pujungla, for your heartfelt expressions of gratitude. Before we conclude, I take the privilege of inviting Tsering Thuntapla, who is currently the president of the Regional Tibetan Association of Massachusetts, and under whose leadership has designed this event, has brought all of us on board, and has been the architect, I must say, of this event. Tsering Thuntapla will deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of all the North American Tibetan associations. We do see around 8 presidents of the different associations in North America present here. So I'd like to hand it over to Tsering Thuntapla to deliver the thank you note.
Thank you. Good morning, and the root of all goodness lie in the soil of appreciation for goodness. With these words of wisdom by His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet, I am honored to present the vote of thanks for this significant event. As we celebrate the successful passage of this historic Tibetan Policy and Support Act 2020, we also honor Congressman Jim Mcgovern and Senator Marco Rubio. He introduced the bill in the House and Senate, respectively. Our member of the organizing committee, Mr. Thundup Siringla, gave an elaborate introduction to Congressman McGovern. However, I would like to reiterate the fact that within a span of a couple of years, Congressman McGovern was instrumental in getting 2 important legislations passed on Tibet. First, the 2019 Reciprocal Access to Tibet Bill, the first ever standalone bill on Tibet, and now the 2020 Tibet Policy and Support Act. On behalf of Tibetans inside and outside Tibet, I extend our most sincerest gratitude and take the honor of presenting a citation of certificates of appreciation to Congressman James P. McGovern. Allow me to also read the text of the citation. Congressman James P. McGovern, the chief architect of the Tibetan Policy and Support Act 2020, which was signed into a law on December 27, 2020, the passage of this landmark legislation demonstrates United States' steadfast, bipartisan, and bicameral support for the rights of the Tibetan people. His relentless efforts have added a bright chapter in the history of US-Tibet relations and for renewing the hopes and aspirations of Tibetans inside and outside Tibet for freedom. Similarly, we appreciate Senator Rubio's relentless support for Tibet, which enabled the passage of historic TPSA 2020 in the Senate. I don't have words to describe the extent of hope and inspirations this legislation has offered, not just to the Tibetans, but to all those fighting for freedom and justice. In order to acknowledge your steadfast support, I am honored to present the citation, a certificate of appreciation to Senator Marco Rubio. Allow me once again to read the text of the citation. Senator Marco Rubio, who introduced the bill in the Senate on September 24th, 2019, the passage of this landmark legislation demonstrates the United States' steadfast, bipartisan and bicameral support for the rights of the Tibetan people. The Regional Tibetan Association of Massachusetts remains grateful to Senator Marco Rubio for adding a bright chapter in the history of US-Tibet relations and for renewing the hopes and aspirations of Tibetans inside and outside Tibet for freedom. Thank you. A big thank you to Honorable President of Central Tibetan Administration, Sikyong Dr. Lobsang Sangye, for gracing this event with his presence, although it is pretty late in the evening in India. Thank you, Sikyong La, for your leadership in the successful passage of this historic bill. I would like to thank Kungong Mudup Siringla, representative of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, for all the assistance and support rendered for this special event. We are truly grateful to have worked in close coordination with him and his office. Our deep-felt gratitude to Mr. Puchung Siringla, the interim president of International Campaign for Tibet, for ICT's long-standing efforts in laying the groundwork for successful passage of the bill and their advocacy for Tibetan cause on the Capitol Hill. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the executive director of the Students for Free Tibet, Mr. Dorjis Hetenla, for attending this important celebration today, but also for SFT's role in mobilizing the grassroots support for the successful passage of this bill. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for the presidents and board members of Tibetan associations in North America who are present today, and all others also for their community service and work in advocating for Tibet. We greatly appreciate the support we have received from Tibettv for giving excellent coverage to our event and enabling thousands to join the event via today's live stream. It is important that this significant event be shared to a wider audience, and clearly this task has been in very capable hands. We are extremely thankful to Amherst Media for providing us with this studio space and the technical support that enabled a seamless and a successful unfolding of the event. Thank you especially to Mr. Jeff Mastriani for all your help. We hope to collaborate more in the future. Well, an event like this cannot happen overnight. It requires planning and a bird's eye for details. And we have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of stellar organizing committee who have worked hard and carried out their roles effectively. Our celebration may be coming to conclusion, but our efforts must continue. Finally, I would like to quote the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. An individual has not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity. We deem it a privilege to honor individuals who stand for freedom, justice, human rights, and democracy. And for that, on behalf of Regional Tibetan Association of Massachusetts and Tibetans across the world, we thank you. Thank you very much.
We will now have a presentation of a thank you video and also the digital version of the two citations. And with that, we're happy to close today's events. We'd like to thank everyone for contributing to remembering a historic moment in the US-Tibet history. We'd also like to thank the thousands of viewers who have tuned in live into Tibettv. Thank you all and have a great day, have a great afternoon, have a great evening, and have a good night, everyone.